We're going to have Tom Noy up first. So
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
No opening statement, huh? Mike, can you walk us through like the steps of how you decided to restart this series with Kentucky, and did you come up with the idea of playing Kentucky while you were sitting on the beach there for 5 weeks?
Well, we John Calipari and I had a lot of communication because we were both on the NABC board at the time, and we were on the search committee for the new executive director, which in April we did a lot of work on, and because we had time, we weren't on the road recruiting, and certainly they eventually hired Craig Robinson, which has, I think, been a grand slam. So we ended up communicating a lot, and actually started talking about a series. And really the marketing group that handles both Kentucky and us was the first one that kind of threw it out last winter by way of Jim Frawley. And I said, God, I'd really be interested in that. And it was always it was going to be a 3-game set with a home and a neutral site. So John and I, back during the dead period shutdown in April, just felt, let's do this. Let's move forward on it. And again, back then we didn't know about the season, and maybe we still don't know about the season, but anyways, back then we didn't know about the season, and we kind of said, look, if we don't play until January, which was a school of thought at the time, we'll just start the series the following year. And he was good with that, and so it's a great brand to play, Kentucky basketball. And funny story, in June, Dane Goodwin came through here. There was no summer school, but he came through, and we had lunch, and he said, Coach, there probably won't be 20,000 people when we play in Rupp, right? I go, yeah, no, there probably won't. And so the negative side of it is, the atmosphere there is classic, obviously. And certainly it won't be that, but I love that we are going to do the series, and we're going to try and, we're going to try and get to the Garden, but there's nothing definite on that next year. And then they'd end up in South Bend in year 3.
Tom, if you want to keep going, you can.
The travel now, I know you decided to fly. How is the travel with flying going to be different this year now?
Well, you kind of pick the brain of football a little bit and how they've done it. You are trying to leave maybe a little bit later, so you're not in a hotel possibly as long. You get into a hotel, you go to your room, you grab your food. No family can meet you. We used to meet the families at the hotels the night before after team dinner and mass. There's none of that. Go to your room, wake up, and get to the arena and get out of the hotel as soon as possible. That's kind of, and that's a bit of page from the football, strategy. So we are going to be able to get on Rupp's floor in the afternoon tomorrow when we land. So we're going to go right to the gym, shoot a little bit, practice a little bit, then go to the hotel. I know our administration and Harold Swanigan and Jim Frawley have made sure the protocols of the charter companies are in line with what we're doing. This is new territory for us since it's our, first flying game.
Okay, we're next going to go to Jerry Tipton. He's from Lexington Herald Leader.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, Mike.
How
Hey,
you
Mike.
doing?
I'm I guess, hanging in there.
Yeah.
You guys are an older team, I think you would agree. How has that impacted your game so far, and how might it impact against a freshman team like Kentucky?
Yeah, Jerry, and it's we are older, and I think we've kind of found a little bit more about ourselves through these first 3 games, and we know who we are. We're not quite very deep, and I anticipate that our 7 from the Ohio State game will be our 7 on Saturday. I don't believe we'll have Nick Jogo back from the ankle yet. So it's 2 freshmen off the bench. And that has been a bit of a concern, just we get fatigued, but we do know how to play, especially on the offensive end. This group knows who they are offensively. The 5 starters are older. They've played together a lot. And Kentucky is younger and growing. And then, I look at the NBA draft projections, and 2 of those starters are in the top 10. And I believe Sarr will be a first-round pick. So it's not, like they're hurting for talent. But the way we built the program, Jerry, as you know, we've had 4 and 5 year guys, and we've gotten older together. And this group now is kind of starting to hit the stride, especially the junior class. They're starting to kind of grow up and look more like young men than boys when we played them as freshmen and sophomores.
And I wonder with Prentice Hub, how important is he to what Notre Dame gets done?
Jerry, it all comes off of him. I said last year when we got going after being 2-6 in the league and we finished 9-4 and he was in a rhythm, I said, he's my Mahomes. It all comes off of him. It's hard to take him out of the game. I took him out for 30 seconds the other night. He kind of runs things, but he's also one of the guys physically who can play 40 minutes. And there's a toughness about him. There's a leadership now because it is his team. He's the voice. And I've just been so impressed in how he has, how he's run our group and kept us in it and leading us. And he gives us a toughness and a belief. And it's been exciting to see him get better and older and stronger since freshman Prentice Hub.
Okay, next up, we are going to go to Hayden Adams from the Observer.
Hey, Coach. I'm sure you've been looking at this Kentucky team, but as someone who is from Lexington and currently 15 minutes away from Lexington, I can tell you right now that the fan base is very on edge with this team's 1-3 start. How do you feel going in with your team against one that really seems to be one that has its back up against the wall and is looking to rebound?
So Hayden, you're in Lexington, huh? You're right there. I did not know that. Oh my God.
You grew up 30 minutes down the road from Rupp. Yeah.
Oh boy. Are you going to be able to attend a game?
I'll be in the press box.
Oh, good. Now, it's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. And when we talked today a little bit, when we watched some film of Kentucky, I understand backs against the wall 1-3. I said, hey, fellas, we're 1-2. Aren't our backs against the wall a little bit too? And if you look further into our schedule, it's not like, we got one week and say, well, there's a win that'll make us feel better about ourselves in December. There's not one of them on the schedule where you can just say, oh yeah, we'll get that one and maybe we'll feel better. So, I feel we're a little cornered too. I understand the Kentucky dynamic. I get it. But I think both teams are pushed back against the wall a little bit right now.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Pete Byrne.
Hey, Coach. Building off of that, kind of a two-parter. It's still Kentucky, right? I mean, even though the record is not great and they're not in the top 25, I mean, would this still be a really good win for your program, do you think? And in addition to that, did you guys take confidence from the way you played against Ohio State, even though you didn't get the results you wanted?
Thank you, Pete. No, good questions. And you're right. I mean, you get a chance to play against Kentucky basketball. It's one of the reasons I scheduled the game, the brand, the history. Again, I understand they're 1-3, but I also understand they have 3 first-round picks. And the light bulb is going to go on, and they've got a heck of a coach. And so the light bulb's going to go on. But one of the things I talked to our guys about, and I'm trying not to sound like the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers and trust the process, but we are really in that kind of mode. And after the game the other night, and I thought we competed but gave ourselves a chance and we were going for it. And there is some things to kind of grow out of that. But I said, I want to talk to the junior and senior class. All right. As freshmen and sophomores, after the Purdue game in Indianapolis, we lose Pfluger. We threw you guys to the wolves as freshmen. We finished 15th. But I said, we went down to Charlotte and you won an ACC tournament game after a tough regular season and young guys playing against men. And I said, I came out of there thinking, there's some character stuff there that's really good to build on. We were 2-6 last year when you were sophomores and juniors, you current juniors and seniors. And then you got on a little bit of a run to go 9-4. We played 21 ACC games. We won 11 of them, 11-10. But I said, what we have not done, and we didn't get over the hump the other night, but we tried, was, we last year when we got going at the end, 11-10, we beat everybody around us in the standings or below. But anybody above us, Virginia, overtime. Florida State, we couldn't quite get those. We haven't, this group, as they're in the process, that it's part of the process. And I said, Ohio State was an opportunity. We couldn't quite get one of them. That's our process now. We have another opportunity Saturday. Oh yeah. Then we have another opportunity Wednesday. Oh yeah. Then we have, but that's kind of how I've talked to them since Wednesday. And I am so proud of how we battled and fought but you need to get one of these that's above you, on paper, so to speak, to kind of break through. And again, I'm back to sounding like the Sixers general manager. Trust the process. We're going to work. We're going to grind. We're going to continue to try and help them to kind of break that ceiling.
Juwan was in foul trouble the other night, and obviously we know that you guys are lean in the front court right now. I thought Zona gave you some good minutes. How much more do you think you can get out of him, given his experience? Kind of where's that line between letting him play and hoping he can help you and feeling like, oh my gosh, we got a freshman in there?
Yeah, I know. I think we got to build on him a little bit, Pete. I mean, the one thing we've seen from him from our practices, and again, you guys haven't been able to, he is tough. He's physical. He's not afraid. He's smart. And I thought he came in and was active and flying around and using his body. He's remade his body with Tony Relinsky. So we're going to need him. We're going to need that body. It's 6'8", it's 250 pounds. Nate and Juwan can't take the pounding against, the Power 5 bodies that keep coming at us. So I want him to kind of feel good and build on it. And then I had a long talk with Tony Sanders about, you just experienced college basketball. You were the toast of the town on Sunday, and you were back in the gutter on Wednesday. Now we're going to find a middle ground. Relax. It's a long journey here as a young guy, but we still need him to come off and help us and get him more comfortable. And in the meantime, as I said the other night, Nick, I think Wednesday is realistic against Duke, and Trey Wirtz, we are still hopeful that there'll be some kind of vote next week on these transfers.
Okay, next up, Patrick Engel, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned after the game on Tuesday, you were still kind of learning and figuring out how to coach Cormac after those kind of two different halves you had. I'm just curious kind of what goes into that process for you as you've gotten to now digest 3 games.
We were talking this morning. I said, Cormac, I said, you 15 in the first half. Second half, he wasn't involved as much, but he made a great point. And I think that's why I love coaching this group so much. He said, Coach, I'm not going to force anything. We were kind of in a good rhythm. And there's a fine line. Will you run something for them, or we play basketball and take the best decision? And so there was I thought a maturity about him, but I think for me, it's on me a little bit, on an out of bounds under, you can maybe run something for a guy to jumpstart him. We've done that with Dane a bunch. We did it with Nate a little bit the other night and I think I've got to do it with Cormac too some. But overall, Cormac's really his body is getting conditioned into extended minutes. Prentice, Dane, and Nate can play extended minutes physically. They have been kind of trained that way. It's very new territory for Cormac. And so his body and how we steal a rest for him, how we practice him in between games so we can get his body fresh. And I would also say it's the same for Juwan. because he's been at that 30-minute mark, and that's a lot. And so I'm trying to keep an eye on those two guys physically. Those other three, I think they've shown they can play. They almost can play the whole game. And some guys are all wired differently. But, we've got to keep an eye on how to maybe jumpstart them. The other way of jumpstarting them, and we did it a little bit the other night, but I think I have to be more conscious of it. He brings the ball up and Hub gets down the floor. And we've done that a bunch when we've had the 2 point guard look, through my tenure.
Okay, Coach, I had one come from Q&A. This is from Jeffrey Drummond from Cats Illustrated. Wondering your thoughts on Olivier Sarr, having faced him before, and some of the challenges he might be experiencing playing with the new team.
Well, we did a good job against him here at home last year, but my God, did we make him a first-round draft pick in Winston-Salem. And I had a couple clips on the scout tape today of him wheeling and dealing on us. And you can't really guard him with one guy. Durham or Leshevsky just can't guard him one-on-one. We've got to get some help off the perimeter and jam it up a little bit and make him kick it out and shoot some jump shots. But I'm very impressed with him. You've heard me use this. He's a beautiful basketball player. He's a bit of a ballet dancer at 7 feet. Hands and footwork and balance. There's just not a lot of big bodies like that move that smoothly. So I have the utmost respect for him.
We're going to go back to Jerry Tipton.
Mike, forgive me, this is kind of basketball 101, but how important is guard play for any team to get things done?
Jerry, I'm going to use a line of a coach you know all so well, because you and I are old school guys. Abe Lemons started a clinic once. Good old Abe Lemons of Texas started a coaching clinic once when I was a young high school coach. He turned off the overhead projector because, he wasn't an X and O guy. He wasn't going to draw X's, O's. And with his Texas twang, he said, hey, let me tell y'all something. If you ain't got guards, you ain't got ... And I am a firm believer, Jerry, in the Abe Lemons philosophy. And I really like our guards. The Cormac Ryan addition, Dane Goodwin has learned to become more of a guard, and Hub is Hub, and if we can get Wirtz going, who's a really good guard, which I am hopeful we will, it gives us 4. But it is about the backcourt, Jerry. Absolutely. Abe Lemons, God bless you. I'm a believer.
And how much is assist to turnover ratio a good gauge for how well guards are playing?
It's kind of what we hang our hat on, Jerry. We led the nation last year in assist to turnover, and it's something we talk about all the time, taking care of that ball. And it's the biggest learning curve of a young guard, how valuable the ball is, and you just can't throw it away. All young guards don't get that. And then older guards learn to understand that thing is gold. We have a sign up in our locker room, Jerry: don't skip class, don't throw the ball away. You and I will get along just fine. And that's kind of my first team meeting right there, period. We walk out.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with Tom Noy.
Like, totally off topic, and I know it has nothing to do with the game on Saturday, but have you ever watched that Midwest Regional Final from 2015? Because this is the first time you play since then.
Well, what was so funny? It was on during the April lockdown. They put it on one night on ESPNU. They were throwing games up, and Calipari and I were texting each other during the game, and then it got to about the 6-minute mark when, they called timeout, we went up, or whatever, in the second half, later in the half, we called timeout, and I knew what was going to happen after that. I texted Calipari, said, I'm turning it off now. That's enough for me. And so that was the last time we watched it. And John and I were texting each other, it was that atmosphere. And Tom, you were there, and others were. I have other coaches that summer, maybe even still, the atmosphere in Cleveland that night, I don't think anybody sat down. It was just heavyweight, big punch after big punch. It was just an unbelievable college game. I even had 2 of the officials I saw later that summer who had the game. who were veteran guys who'd been around. They said, never been in one like that. Never been in one like that. So it was a memory, and maybe we can have a great one Saturday.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Be safe.
That's it. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.